OK, we're going to shift it on to Declan Rice. Was it sending off or not?
I think that, you know something, I'm really tired of that conversation. But
I
don't think it was.
Are you tired of talking to it about?
No, I've been seeing it all coming all the time. It's not. I don't think it was a sending off. And again, I'll go with the fact that if we're going to go by the letter of the law, the ball was moving. I can't just say the ball was moving. That's not the letter of the law. We're not. That's not consistent. Because if we're doing
the letter of the law,
if we're doing letter,
he knows that one.
No, but no,
Order!
no, I'm jumping on that simply because.
Law.
No, I'm jumping on that simply because that's what. You know what really me off about it is the way Kavanagh kind of strolled up to him and said, "You gave me no choice." He did have a choice because. Sorry. He did have a choice because the people upstairs should have said to him, actually, you know what? It couldn't have been restarted simply because the ball was moving. So, you know, and he whacked him.
He did whack
him.
Alrighty. Is it fair to say it wasn't a sending off in your opinion?
In my opinion, it wasn't sending off.
Sending off.
And of course, we start at the Emirates, where a second-half goal from João Pedro saw Brighton come from behind to draw 1-1 with Arsenal after Declan Rice was sent off. This should be fun, chaps. Gareth, starting with you. Give the case for the red card.
Yeah, isn't it? I think that Veltman knows what he's doing. To start with, he's kicked the ball away, Declan Rice, right? By the letter of the law, that's a booking. Veltman knows he's on a booking because he was the one he challenged about 10 minutes earlier to get his first yellow card. You know, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. We both played the game, and the one thing we will agree on, me and Jamie, is that when somebody's on a yellow, you almost target them and try and get them sent off. But I can understand what Jamie's saying.
I think it's harsh. I think it's really harsh.
But it is a sending off for me.
I don't think it's a sending off. I have to say I don't. I think the ball's moving. Veltman knows exactly what he's doing. You know, he's literally tapped it, Declan Rice. I don't even know if he knows if Veltman's really there. You know, I just think it's a harsh decision.
Does it matter, Jamie, though, that if it's a couple of inches or if it's 20 yards, you still kick the ball?
Yeah, it kind of does. Do you know what I mean? Like, where's the common sense in football has just completely gone out of the game. You know, like, he's not wasting time
I
there,
agree
really,
with
is he? You know, he's not really wasting time. And at the end of the day, like, I don't even think that's a foul.
But if you have a watch,
Veltman knows exactly what he's doing. Ball's still moving.
That little kick there.
Veltman says post-match he's looking at Danny Welbeck.
Oh, do me a favour.
Post-match, after he's seen all the screen and that.
He's not trying to play that ball quick. He knows exactly what he's doing.
It's not classic Brighton, is it? Long ball into the channel.
No, and he knows exactly what he's doing, Veltman, and he sucks Declan Rice in. And look, Declan Rice. If Declan Rice picks the ball up,
if he don't kick it though, Jamie, it doesn't go off.
Come on, it's right next to his foot. He's not kicking it against the boardings, is he? He's not kicking it into the stand.
He's kicked it off the pitch, though.
Oh,
kicked it off the pitch.
He's tapped it.
He's tapped it.
And for me, like that, I think it's a really harsh decision on Declan Rice. And
I agree it's harsh, but I think Veltman
I don't think it's a
has been clever, and I think he's instigated it. Now, whether he has or he hasn't, only he'll know that. But I think that these when a player's on a yellow, you do your utmost to go, right, I'll spark something off here.
Would Chris Kavanagh be resting a little bit easier this morning, maybe, if it wasn't for the João Pedro incident in the same game? Mikel Arteta gobsmacked. He talked about inconsistency.
This wasn't a tap, was it? This was a strike.
Do you think he's got a point?
Well, I mean, he's got that completely wrong, the referee. I mean, it's the most obvious yellow card you're ever going to see. That is kicking the ball away, time wasting. You know, that is a booking. So for him to let him off and then give Declan Rice a sending off for his one, I mean, that is completely ridiculous.
What's the argument the referee's saying there?
There is no argument.
He doesn't know that it's...
Listen,
there's no argument.
There's no justification now of the referee.
It's a booking. Yeah. He's got it wrong. It's
because that was in the first half, and because it wasn't deemed to be wasting time, and because maybe it's Declan Rice. Because, and I'm not, you know... I don't know. The
referee's jumped at the opportunity to send Declan Rice off in a moment where he thinks, oh, you know, look, the spotlight's on me. I'm going to do the letter of the law. But I'm going to give this.
Yeah, but I'm going to send him off for that. Letter of the law.
Come on, that is an absolute. Personally, I think it's a disgrace.
Declan Rice red card Arsenal drama takes new twist as additional suspension risk emerges. Declan Rice is at risk of incurring a further suspension after Arsenal angst at Brighton red card continues. The fallout from Declan Rice's red card for Arsenal against Brighton continues to dominate the thoughts and words of supporters nearly a week after the incident. The international break has not allowed much news to swallow up the story, and in the days since, inconsistency in coverage from former referees and new comparable examples have only made worse the feelings surrounding the suspension. Arsenal will return to action next week and travel to their bitter rivals Tottenham, aiming to win 3 back-to-back away North London derbies for the first time since 1988. Rice's absence will be the main talking point in regard to how Mikel Arteta sets up his side, but the suspension scenario could be made even worse in the weeks to come. Rice will return for the trip to Manchester City the following week, which sandwiches a Champions League tie away at Atlanta in a tough gauntlet of games for the Gunners. Rice's 2 yellow cards against Brighton added to one he already received against Aston Villa. This means he is currently sitting on 3 in 3 games. Premier League rules dictate that should a player accumulate 5 yellow cards in the first 19 matches, they are then due a 1-game suspension. Getting 10 by week 32 incurs a 2-game ban, and 15 before matchday 38 means a 3-game ban. The idea that Rice can last 15 games without getting more than just 1 more yellow card seems on paper incredibly unrealistic. The positive is that no matter what, he cannot be suspended for the clash with Man City after the derby. However, there are games against Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester United still to come where he could feasibly face a suspension. Worse is that the likelihood of avoiding a further 7 yellow cards in 27 matches is also a steep ask considering the rate. He has already picked up 3. That said, the benefit Arsenal fans have is Rice accumulated only 5 yellow cards in his 38 Premier League matches last season. The other benefit is the hope that should Rice reach the 5-card threshold before week 19, Mikel Merino will hopefully be back to provide the much-needed depth to the midfield. The Spaniard is currently out with a shoulder injury, with a return date estimated between mid to late October. Against Spurs, Arteta has a choice between Jorginho and Kai Havertz to swap into the midfield for Rice. The latter would of course mean hoping that Gabriel Jesus has returned to full fitness over the break, or choosing an unorthodox centre-forward option like Leandro Trossard or Raheem Sterling. Arsenal handed Major Ricardo Calafiori injury worry ahead of North London derby. The latest Arsenal news, as the summer signing, is currently on international duty with Italy and featured against France on Friday night. Arsenal have been hit with a major injury worry ahead of their North London derby clash against Tottenham, with Ricardo Calafiori picking up a problem while on international duty. The summer signing joined up with his Italy teammates this week and was named in the starting lineup for the UEFA Nations League clash against France on Friday night. He impressed with his performance, but in worrying scenes for Arsenal fans was forced to leave the pitch in the 70th minute of the game with what looked like an injury. It is reported by journalists at the game that the problem looked to be with the defender's calf after a challenge with Ousmane Dembele. Arsenal will now face a nail-biting wait to see the extent of the injury. At the time Calafiori was forced off, Italy were winning 2-1 thanks to goals from Federico Di Marco and Davide Fratesi. Giacomo Raspadori added another 4 minutes later to put the result beyond doubt. If he is ruled out of the North London derby, it would be another major blow to Mikel Arteta's side. Arsenal will already be without midfielders Declan Rice and Mikel Merino through suspension and injury. The Gunners will also be without Takahiro Tomiyasu and Gabriel Jesus, and Kieran Tierney will be major doubts as they continue their recovery from injury. Calafiori has featured twice for Arsenal in the Premier League so far this season. He made his debut off the bench in the 2-0 win over Aston Villa before playing the final 30 minutes of the 1-1 draw with Brighton last weekend. Arsenal are set to begin contract negotiations with Leandro Trossard after turning down a recent offer from the Middle East for the attacker, according to a report. The winger joined the Gunners from Brighton and Hove Albion in January 2023 in a deal worth around an initial $21 million, potentially rising to $26 million through add-ons. Trossard recorded a total of 19 goal contributions in 46 appearances across all competitions last season, most of which were off the bench. The 2024-25 season has begun similarly for the Belgian, though he did score for the Gunners just 2 minutes after coming on in their 2-0 victory against Aston Villa a couple of weeks ago. On the final day of the Saudi transfer window, Arsenal reportedly received a bid from Al Ittihad for the Belgian, but swiftly turned it down, with both the club and Arteta having no intention of letting the attacker depart this summer. Football Insider now claimed that the 24-year-old could be in line for a new contract due to his impressive performances for Arsenal and the recent transfer interest in him. The report adds that despite the Gunners' recent loan acquisition of Raheem Sterling, Trossard remains a key component of Arteta's squad, especially with Gabriel Jesus currently injured and Eddie Nketiah's move away from the Emirates Stadium this summer. It is understood that Trossard currently earns $90,000 a week and is likely to see an increase in his salary with a potential contract extension. The pay rise is believed to be likely to bring him closer to the likes of Takahiro Tomiyasu, $100,000 a week, or Ben White, $150,000 a week, who have recently signed new deals with the club. Arsenal have a busy season ahead, both domestically and abroad, with the new-look Champions League set to get underway in less than 2 weeks. Under the new European format, the Gunners will play 2 more games during the first phase of the competition than in previous seasons, starting with a trip to the Guas Stadium to face Atlanta BC this month. Arteta's side will also face Inter Milan, Sporting Lisbon, and Girona on the road, while they will host Dinamo Zagreb, Paris Saint-Germain, Monaco, and Shakhtar Donetsk at the Emirates. Arsenal considered last-gasp move for Brentford attacker before Sterling signing. Arsenal reportedly considered a last-minute swoop for Brentford attacker Bryan Mbeumo in the summer. The 25-year-old has enjoyed a stellar start to the campaign for the Bees in West London, scoring 3 goals in as many Premier League contests. Mbeumo is one of the main stars in attack for Brentford, following the departure of the club's talisman Ivan Toney to the riches of the Saudi Pro League. The Cameroon international bagged a brilliant brace last weekend, helping the Bees to a 3-1 success over newly promoted Southampton in the capital. Since making the switch from French outfit Troyes in August 2019, Mbeumo has played 203 matches for Brentford, scoring 53 goals across all competitions. According to the Daily Mail, Arsenal's deadline day dealings could have been significantly different following a relatively quiet window for the club. The report claims that the Gunners were eyeing up a late move for Brentford star Mbeumo, who was impressed at the start of the 2024-25 campaign. It is understood that Mikel Arteta's side were